right? We really do need to see them step it up or get stepped on as we are getting into game number 3 of LJL Day 18, Sengoku Gaming versus Rascal Jester. You see it on the screen. If you are just joining us in, I'm Beautiful Crow, joined by RMC, and we are going to bring you all of the fun, juicy action from the LJL today. Runes on screen, and oh man, this early game. So, first 5 minutes of this game, RMC, what are you looking for RJ to do to try and get a leg up in this very much considered underdog matchup?
Right off the bat, I actually find it interesting that Hachimesh is running Conqueror on the Vi here. That was not the rune that I was expecting. To be fair, I'm not actually sure what Vi jungle is running right now because we don't see too much of her here.
Right.
Yeah, but generally when you run Conqueror, you're looking for extended fights. And early game, the fights aren't extended. People are squishy. I wanted to see Hachimecha get some early ganks off with Vi because starting level 2 already, she has very potent ganks. But if you're running Conqueror, I don't know if that's what Rascal Jester are necessarily looking to do. But ideally, what I'm expecting is both junglers be active. You've both picked early game junglers. Hachimecha, focus on the side lanes for the most part. Mid lane's a little bit hard to try and go for. Yes, Sylas might overextend, but more than likely Oriana is going to overpush because she's ranged. For Sengoku here, for once, top is not a good place to gank just because you've got an Ornn. Not necessarily the greatest of lanes to assist with that. Yeah. Jet needs some time to scale. So bot lane, be your focus here, especially if Leona is looking to engage. If she goes in, her only way back out is by flashing.
Right, and you see the glacial augment on this Leona as well, so she's definitely in, and there's no added protection of, an Aftershock or a Guardian. And you touched on this matchup, this Sivir Zeri matchup, and God, the early chunking from Vital rather onto Soul is just scary to watch. We want them to get ahead in the spotlight. We want that to be, the catalyst for an RJ snowball. But I have this very strong feeling that Vital is not going to let that happen, as we do see once pathing into the bot side of the jungle, looking for maybe an early gank here. Is this a level 3 gank? Oh no. Secret, my boy, having to cling to his tower for life. Luckily, they weren't there in time for a gank on to Soul, so he's just going to dip out for a hot second. But man, off the bat, Sengoku just trying to put the stranglehold on RJ as they are trying to surround Secret under tower like a bunch of sharks. But thankfully, Hachimecha has caught wind of this and said, "Hey, bro, get away from my minnows."
Okay, so that was a really long, extended series of events in that bot side, and Hachimecha actually took a really long time to come down there. Once going there as well, does actually mess up his clear because he didn't fully clear, was looking for a bit of that cheese dive. And I actually would argue that Soul and Secret should have just stuck together under turret. They didn't 3-wave crash that properly for Sengoku, so there wasn't enough of a minion wave. If Soul had just stood there and cleared the wave, there's no threat of diving from Sengoku. They will go down. So leaving Secret was actually the riskier option. As it stands though, Soul was denied away from an entire wave. Secret going to be up those levels instead here. And for Sengoku, that kind of changes the dynamic of this bot lane a little bit because sure, there's not a lot of kill threat from Soul, especially early on and when you zone them out. But anytime Hachimecha shows up right now with Secret's level lead, they can absolutely burst down a single target, especially if Vital doesn't spell shield one of the stuns coming through.
Yeah, that is very interesting to note. Because of that split, that does give the advantage, and we'll have to see if RJ will try to abuse that in any fashion, or if they decide to just play passively in an arc of fear, as we see Hachimecha just running around and chasing out NT from the jungle. But that is a very interesting thing to note, to pick up on. Yeah, the failed attempt at a dive, I guess we should say, from Sengoku. A little bit of an uncharacteristic mistake, but they can probably pop back up on the reins and keep this horse moving. But yeah, just a very chill, even early game state for now. Man, makes me want to, fry an egg and put some bacon in the oven or something.
I'm willing to give them a bit of credit, the benefit, pardon me, of the doubt here, Beautiful, because we did have to cost B3 BC earlier today, and
I'm jealous of that because man, I saw some of like the clips on Twitter. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What did I miss in my 6 to 7 hours of deprivation? As We see a little bit of scrapping in the top lane. But yeah, shout outs V3.
I mean, they did win, but it was almost a new record for longest game from V3 again. And the early game was absolutely brutal because neither team was making any moves. At least this time, Sengoku are trying to make the moves. And if it didn't work once in a 3v2, we'll throw another body in.
Oh, they get the tag straight onto Hachimecha. No chance for survival. That'll be first blood, and they're going to keep it going. They crashed it correctly this time. They just brought more bodies as they're trading turret aggro, picking up 2, make that 3, giving a double for Jet. There's recap a little bit late to the party, but Sengoku already making RJ pay.
Can't find a single one on the back end of that from recap here. And yes, Sengoku much better setup this time. Every body you add doesn't just increase the chance linearly here. It increases it exponentially because the burst damage you can put down. We see how quickly as well in the replay, Hachimecha just absolutely pops to once and Jet. And if you can do that to Hachimecha, everybody else is so easy after that. The other thing I want to highlight is the turret aggro juggling. So once ends up tanking it first here, doesn't actually add any damage there, and then they trade onto Vital, Nyx onto Jet, and then NT is going to be the one actually first hitting, to draw that aggro again, and it distributes the damage so incredibly well. No one is at risk of going down, and even recap coming in doesn't bother the flash shockwave because there's a chance that actually nobody goes down whatsoever, and then if you flash in, you're dead. You aren't coming out the other end. So incredibly clean from Sengoku on that second dive.
If it doesn't work, try it again. And it just worked out, I would dare say, flawlessly this time. Yeah, very great juggling of the tower aggro, just great target selection on who they wanted to get down first and foremost. This is what we wanted to see from Sengoku, start to fight early. Yeah, they're still, quote unquote, the late game fight team, but they're just so good when it comes to these extended fights, when it comes to splitting people up in these fights. And even if it's an uneven skirmish, they're going to make it work. So that's exactly what we wanted to see from early game, as we do have another, just a little tour of the map. Is not too much going on. We do see the rotation and the pings up on the map, though, as Jet going on to recap, getting as low as possible. Nice sidestep. Recap barely living through that, as we did have the bot lane from Sengoku rotating up, just trying to make some noise everywhere they can.
Yeah, and Sengoku actually playing this really well. The rotate up is also to cover for this Herald taker. We touched on the fact that both junglers are early game junglers, but once right now is running the map. Hachimecha not able to find anything. And once goes top, takes down the ward, goes for that Herald pressure. They rotate Vital and NT up because they've got such a big lead to threaten recap and to cover. And so, sure, you get one plate, but you've already lost 2, and you still haven't caught up in CS here. Sengoku are just always ahead of the play. And now, look at this here. They're going for Dragon as well.
Ooh. Yeah, cross-map trades, looking for it. I know. Just taking it to pass. I mean, we kind of expected that, right, in this early bit of the matchup. But yeah, we thought Sengoku was going for Dragon. I guess not. I'm going to go ahead and peel off of that. But this mid lane tower is seeming to be the focus right now. Shockwave used just to clear the wave and get some damage off, dissuade them from dropping Herald and attempting anything further. But yeah, it's been really, really clean, I would say, from Sengoku after, the first little attempted dive. It's just once is everywhere on the map. I feel like Jet is ready to, unlock himself and get out on the map as well. We'll have to see what RJ can do to counteract this.
And for now, Rascal Jester have just kind of sat back and taken the beating that they're being given. To be fair, they haven't lost too much after that dive in the bot side. It's mostly just plates that they're kind of losing out on pressure-wise. So it's not the end of the world. The only issue is, kind of similar to what we saw from Burning, or how long can you just stand there and be a sandbag, right? Eventually, you've got to make some sort of play. The early lead that they had from the bot side hasn't materialized, and hey, Dragon is up. I think that's a good place for Rascal Jesters to look for. Only problem is no command shockwave. So if they wait, maybe that minute for that cooldown to come up, then go for that objective. I think is the best sort of option that Rascal Jesters have for making early plays their way.
Yeah, and they do have they don't have the TP advantage. Paz still has his available in his pocket. It's surprising no one has gone for the dragon just yet. I mean, with Sengoku, with how they've been controlling the map, you would have thought, hey, I mean, we could just pop this out real quick, take it fast. But you're right on that front, as RJ do have more vision in the area currently as the sweepers are starting to come out. If there was a time and place for them to make something happen, it would be around that pit. As once again, visiting this bot lane, not letting Soul and Secret have any peace of mind whatsoever. As oh no, Jet jumping onto Secret, trying to stay alive as long as he can. Okay, there's Hachimetra coming in with the ultimate, and that's a cooldown burn to keep him alive. But somehow the tower is still standing as well.
Yeah, Herald only takes 2 plates here, and that's why I said, originally if Soul and Secret just stood under turret together, the wave clear from Zeri isn't the best, but it's also not the worst because Q can hit multiple minions.
Yes.
Exactly. So they clear right through there. And for Rascal Jesters, yeah, it holds, but for how much longer, right? I'm just worried about a potential redive coming through from Jet. We're seeing a lot of attention from once into this bot side, like you mentioned, but Jet as well has been often opting to roam down a little bit now. Once trying to start up this dragon here, will have to peel off. You don't necessarily have the pressure you want, and more importantly, they don't have eyes on Secret. They don't know where Secret's coming from.
Okay, now that was just interesting. I'm really glad observers actually caught that. So Paz TPs to the top lane, and as soon as he does, 10 seconds later, both the TPs from Ino and Recap are up. So now the map state is a little bit dangerous for Sengoku if they try to go for these neutral objectives, because they will not be able to meet it with both reinforcements should something pop up. And it's just, there's been a lot of bot lane focus for Sengoku, and top lane's been pretty much left alone. And you do see that Ino does have a little bit of a CS lead right now, and now with that TP advantage in his pocket as well, I'm looking for Rascal Jesters to make something happen as the first set of mythics start to pop out. Secret, that's not what I wanted to happen, my boy. He's getting tagged up here by NT, but luckily
he's fine.
Yeah, Leona's pretty tanky, so.
Vital had just recalled as well, so there wasn't actually enough kill threat to actually take out Secret here. And I'm just more shocked right now, Beautiful, that we're not seeing Rascal Jesters go for that dragon, right? You mentioned the rotate down from Ino there. Recap's ult was back up, and that was the sort of big cooldown I was watching, and you walk away, you give that up, and now we already said bot side turret was living on a hope and a prayer, potential of a dive, Soul has to back out. You lose that turret, and with that turret loss, you're going to lose control of Dragon as well, because now minions are pushing in favor of Sengoku bot side. Rascal Jesters, you've only got 2 real avenues to come through.
Well, Mr. Mountain Drake, you made it to the 13-minute mark, but your time in the sun is done. As, like you said, they just kept knocking on that bot side tower until it fell over, and took it pretty much with no resistance, Like you said, Soul had already recalled. There was just no one around to help clear that wave, and Sengoku finally getting that dragon on the board. But hey, it's a party in top lane, and everyone's invited. RJ said, you want to do a tower dive? Let's do another tower dive, as everyone's just stacking it up, packing it up, and I know we'll get the credit on the Paz, and that's 4 in the top lane for RJ as they're trying to shore up this gold deficit.
Yeah, I appreciate that movement by Rascal Jesters here, because you can't be giving things up for free, and because you didn't take advantage of your timers
on the map state,
that
though, I mean, you see a lot of blue in the red side jungle, and you see a lot of them getting gold as NT now roaming around with one. So Lulu Zen combo, very annoying to deal with, unfortunately. As Herald number 2 is spawning, Sengoku wanting to force them out and take that another objective for themselves, just claiming as much neutral standing gold off the map as they can, as we do see the tower plate gold graphic pop up. That was 3 in the top lane, but look at the spread, as that, Sengoku got that first tower. Looking at the gold graphs here, just we wanted, we talked about it in the draft, we wanted Ino on a carry to have some agency for RJ, hoping that would be a bright spot, because we knew the battle of the bot lanes was going to go in the favor of Sengoku. So with this lead that Ino has accrued, we're really looking for him to transition that in this next stage of the game to see if RJ can make anything happen. But right now, they're not contesting for any neutral objectives. They're not going for any fights over things, as we see Hachimetra get the catch on to Jet, who does have the shockwave used as well. Recap that ball delivery system. They're chasing him down. He cannot get away. And that's a quick 1-2 pickup for Rascal Jesters on the board.
And again, it's just trading, kill for objective. It's not really necessarily worth it. I think Sengoku are still happy with that particular trait, they get the Herald in their pocket as well. And I want to highlight the other thing about the top side dive from Rascal Jester's 4v1. Sure, you kill Paz. You didn't even get his turret. And that was what that plate gold, sure, great, good, but you're not quite answering that. So the gold lead for Sengoku continues to grow a little bit here. And sure, Aino's got a gold lead on Paz, but you're an Ornn. Your masterwork items are going to start coming through in about 2 levels here. Each one's worth about 1,000 gold. So suddenly that lead from Aino doesn't really look that big unless, as you mentioned, he can snowball that somewhere. And for all that gold lead that Aino has, it's outstripped by Vital's gold lead over Soul right now.
Right, yeah, very interesting to note that they did not actually finish off the tower up there. I felt like they could have it had they stayed, but they decided to peel off. As we do see, looking around, more and more items coming across the board. Hachimetra going for the 12.13 special, the chain sword rush. All you Space Marines out there, you love to see it. You love to see it. We do make those references whenever chain sword pops into play. And yeah, I just really, really need Rascal Jesters to actually, go for broke more, attempt to start these fights. I feel like this is a stage of the game where they can do that. Give it a few minutes, RMC, and they're not really going to be able to do any of that, as we do see everybody positioning around this mid lane, looking like the next target to be cracked open.
Yeah, and they have been beautiful, at least in the last little while. Granted, the first 10 minutes were very slow for Rascal Jesters, not a single proactive move. But since then, they've been trying. The problem now is that the trades, the decisions they're making of what they want to go for don't feel like they're necessarily worth it to me. They're going for the individual picks rather than the macro play, rather than the objectives here. Whereas Sengoku, they're almost always looking for a little bit more. Ooh, that's a nasty interaction.
That was nasty. Wait a minute.
Yeah. And it kind of great play from Aino, buying more time, and Jet's gonna just have to walk back mid. He's not going back mid.
That's Bush. This is very close.
He's going back top.
Well, yeah, TP. They went back top. Burn the TP, burn the ultimate. Oh yeah, Aino says that's the signal to go in. Let's go. Jet does steal the world ender. Oh man, they're just fighting all over the map. Okay, that's a sacrificial lamb. If I've seen one, it has to burn the stopwatch to make something happen. As Soul and Hachimetra are on the side. Wait a minute, no Veil Secret can't get out. Now the push is on Hachimetra. He can't go nowhere. Flashes in front once. That was incredible. Flashing in front of the wall to prevent Hachimetra from going over. That's the chattiest of Chad plays I've ever seen. Oh my god, as they're gonna crack open this mid lane. Herald in tow, no problem at all.
Yeah, Vital taking a bit too much damage with that flash forward, was actually trying to make the play forward, but Recap didn't even burn the Command Shockwave topside, actually walked it right back down. And now Aino still stuck in the 2v1 situation here. Should be fine for now, but beautiful. That series of events, it starts off from the top side. It's that pressure, and when Jet was sort of hovering back and forth, do I go, do I not? And the moment Recap TP'd up, they pulled the trigger onto that bottom half of the map, and that's where the gold inequality we're talking about happens. Sure, Rascal Jester is strong with Aino, but you're weak when it comes to Soul here. And look at Vital just kind of ripping through them. The Crescent Guard as well from once is really kind of the big difference as well. Soul can't get any damage down, so even though that looks like a 3v3, it's a 2v3. And like you said, beautiful block from once to stop that. So everything just goes Sengoku way on this bottom half of the map, and once again, advantage to them as the objectives spawn as well here. Sengoku now have mythics across the board.
Yeah, man, it feels like RJ trying to play checkers while Sengoku's playing chess here. It's just the way they're setting up on the map. You saw also the vision disparity between the two. While that play in the top was happening, there were no wards in that top side river at all for RJ. So they were literally walking into a blind situation trying to come help out their friend. And that just served them up to the big detriment, as you said, a series of unfortunate events as they're trying to get a gang on the Paz. All right, 3 versus an Ornn. How long can he survive? Long enough for the rest of the team to come in. And here's the TP from Jet. Paz surviving and getting away. That's disastrous. There's so many cooldowns were burned from Rascal Jester to make something happen to no avail. Nobody has dropped just yet, but wants to try to make a difference in that as they are on to Secret. He's running for his life. Will actually get out as well. But on the top side of that, hello. Soul gets the kill Rascal Jester still surviving for now, but no, here comes Jet flashing forward with the shockwave that he stole. Give this man the Quadra. He's looking for the Penta. He is on the run, dashes over the side of the wall, jumps off to onto the Scarab. He's going for it. He's trying to go. Zeri's a speedy little trickster, can get away if he buys it right, looking for a wall to jump over. Oh, the sad emoji. He's not going to give it away today. He said, you got to earn it, buddy. But a monstrous series of events for Sengoku, as once again they turn something on its head and once again force the issue for Rascal Jester.
And once again manages to win a fight incredibly handily there. Like, once is making Xin Zhao look busted right now. I swear, Xin Zhao isn't that strong. There's a reason why he fell out of meta there, but the moment one shows up right now, Rascal Jesters is just forced to disengage. Like you highlighted, the fact that Paz limped out barely alive is largely because of the threat that once was representing onto the back line. So first off, Rascal Jester is continuously picking on Paz. I understand that he's the one kind of split off, but he's also the big tank that's hard to kill. Hachimecha did a great job stopping Call the Forge God, but then what, right? Like, you've burnt so much trying to kill him. That's 3 ultimates used right away. And because you didn't kill him, the rest of Sengoku are coming back. Paz should have probably cleared that ward, and maybe he gets out. Didn't, dies for it, and it doesn't even matter. And yeah, Jet, looks amazing. He gets this quadra kill, just diving into the backline, a 2-for-1 on that Q as well. But I actually want to highlight Vital, because Vital's Sivir is starting to come online, and Vital is the one who got them all low in that fight. When you're clumped up, those rounds are hitting everything.
Oh, back to live. Well, if it doesn't work once, jump him again, as this time they will actually get the shutdown on Jet, give it over to Hacha. He's going to want that gold in his pocket. But yeah, like you said, Vital really making that last play work super well, with the speed up and with the ricochet damage, getting them all so low for Jet to have that little pop-off quadra moment of his.
I don't know if we need to replay this. Jet just walks into a bush and he's dead. And this is a good pick from Rascal Jesters here, because I just criticized them for going for the big tank Paz.
Yeah.
That's not worth it. You go for the carries. You get Jet, and suddenly Sengoku are on the back foot. They can't continue to press forward. So great catch onto that play. But generally, Beautiful, you mentioned Sengoku's playing chess, Rascal Jester's playing checkers. When you're going to make a move, when you get a pick like that, the chess move is get an objective. You need to get more than just the kill. The kill by itself is irrelevant. When you're playing checkers like Rascal Jesters, though, all you get is that kill. There's no follow-up here. So great, you got the shutdown, but Hachimecha might want the gold. Nobody on Rascal Jesters wants Hachimecha to get the gold. You want it on Recap, you want it on Soul, maybe you want it on Ino, but this Vi, that ain't it.
Okay, they are 22-minute Baron here for Sengoku. Is it a bait? Is it a commit? I'm thinking it's a commit, just because they don't really have any way for them to stop this. I mean, RJ, they can attempt to. They have to make the decision. They are starting to get low. They're kind of barreling themselves in here. No TB for Ino to join the fight, so it would be a disadvantaged state for Rascal Jester even more than they are in. Yeah, they're just going to split it off and walk away. Sengoku just trying to make some noise happen.
Yeah, a little bit ambitious from Sengoku.
Just a tad bit, yeah, just a little bit of
you can see why they considered it. They're strong, but at the same time, you could burn it down, but you run the risk of people dying.
Oh my god, are they going to do this again? No, Jet, no flash to his name available. Shockwave is burned, and Hachimecha's ult is on a very good cooldown, and this time the kill credit going over to Recap. Hey, I mean, You said it, like, Rascal Jester does not want to take these big old fights, right? They want to keep picking people off, and they're picking off what seems to be the right target, but they still aren't turning it into any objectives, it seems.
Yeah, and for Sengoku here, the bit of a question of why is Jet so far up without sufficient vision coverage, right? And sure, you've got a ward at the Baron, so you can see people approaching from that angle, but you don't have one in Tribush, you don't have one in enemy jungle, and you're pushed up way past the river. So Jet, just being a little bit risky there. And this time, Sengoku can't make good on it. The last time Jet got caught, Sengoku shoved up mid, shoved up bot side to position themselves really well for whatever follow-up play was coming. This time, Sengoku just weren't in position to take advantage of it. So completely free. Sure, the Rascal Jesters don't find follow-up, but Sengoku aren't able to find anything as well. Hachimecha.
Oh, that's dangerous territories. Okay, he can get out. He'll be good. He'll be all right. I think he's just chilling. As we do have this Ocean Drake live. Both first dragons have been over to Sengoku with little to no resistance from Rascal Jester. This time, however, it's Rascal Jester that have started up. As Jet jumps over the pit. I know does see that.
Oh,
Oh boy, you want to go now if there's any time to go. As the call of the Forge God does come down, there's a big old mix in the pit. And look at the health bars. Look at the shred. This is that Sivir damage we were talking about, baby. Vital popping off as everyone in RJ's
okay.
but manages to get a shutdown. Oh my God, Soul coming in for the saves. Once on the backside,
What's got fighted?
On to Soul. He's dashing away. He manages to kite away enough. That's that Zeri power, baby. We were talking about the 80s teams having to make their mark in this game and come up big. And we see that Soul comes up huge in this fight.
Yeah, we harped so much on, Sivir damage to come through there, but Zeri used to be the old Sivir, right, in terms of being able to carry a lot of these team fights. And watch Soul's positioning throughout the fight. Soul, after the initial engage from Jet, really wasn't at risk anymore and just got to free fire. Even on the initial engage there, it took so much to reach Soul. One flash and suddenly they were out. And then you look at Vital on the other hand, kind of similar situation. And sure, Vital wins out the 1v1, but the difference is that with the Sivir here, you want to be bouncing on as many people as possible. And Vital stepping up just a little bit too far there, just gets locked down, shut down right away. And still, throughout all of this, Soul stands. Soul's pumping out damage, and that's all you need from the side of Rascal Jesters.
Yeah, and also very interesting to note on the side of that fight, Ino was just completely walling off the other half of that team for most of the fight, while Jet, while Once, and Vital were directly in the face of the opposition. So it was essentially a 2v4 situation in that last fight. Is this seems a little bit desperate from Sengoku, as once again they're chased off the Baron. RMC, are we seeing a little bit of desperation coming out from Sengoku after that last fight? They're kind of walking on shaky ground here.
So if they had hard committed to that, then yes, that would have been either bad decision making or a bit of desperation. But I think that was a great call by Sengoku. They saw Ino bot side, they forced a teleport immediately because Ino can't get to push. If you push, you lose Baron. And that was also a bit of a stat check coming through from Sengoku. You saw how quickly that Baron was going down. Rascal Jesters can't leave that unattended. And now Sengoku have a pretty good idea. Hey, we need about 20 seconds on this Baron and we can burn it. Next time we see Ino down there, we do this because Ino won't have teleport if we do it sometime soon. And now Sengoku, sure enough, they're looking to repeat the thing. They're clearing out all the vision here, and Rascal Jesters, everybody needs to run right back into this, and they need to do this into the dark without proper vision.
Oh, it's a good old-fashioned Baron bait, baby. Okay, they're corralling them into the pit. It's looking like they're going for the challenge. You were right about the stat check. There is no Shirelias available this time for the speed boost. Sivir ulti is there, but they're not gonna have as much movement as previously. But they're just gonna go ahead and once again keep pulling RJ away from trying to take any objectives. Is this middle Tier 1 tower is very low. There's a call. The Forge God does land on to recap. You're in a bad spot, baby. Bud manages to flash out as the fight goes back in secret in the mix of thing. Oh my God!
Vital's
that damage over the side. Vital's down. Paz is down. Soul getting the damage he needs, but once jumping back in there will take out recap. No way for him to escape. Manages to survive for a little bit more time, but that is a quick 4-for-2 pick up for RJ. They have the damage dealers on their side of the junglers. They're saying thank you for the free Baron Leaf Sengoku.
Yeah, and this, beautiful, is what we expected from Rascal Jester's beginning of the split. Get them to 25 minutes in a decent state, and they can carry the team fight. Soul has looked better this game than he has almost all split long. The positioning has been so clean, and a lot of this is coming off recap. Recap with the shockwave has been absolute monster. Well, not even the shockwave, just the initial bait as well, because here, Sengoku, the risk of them continuously going back to Baron is that it's taking them longer to get into the mid lane. So they're always going to take chip damage. And so they decide, what, we're going to force the fight. But right there, that flash from recap put Paz so out of position. He was taking so much damage. And then that shockwave catches onto Vital. And that is the game-winning ult right there. The moment Vital goes down, Soul just gets to free fire once again. And once can't actually kill him. There's just too many bodies getting in the way. The moment that happens, they go Baron, they get pushed, and Rascal Jesters get the lead for the first time this game.
Man, if that's not a way to turn a game on its head, look at that damage graph. Insane. We talked
Yeah.
about this Sivir Zeri matchup. It's like, oh yeah, usually it's a very Sivir favored, but I fully believe after the past like 5 games that I've seen of these two, it is 100% a skill matchup because the way it has been coin flipping back and forth between both of these carries, depending on who's playing it, is very much showing here. And RJ with a lead over Sengoku, it's a little indicative of their recent performance, right? Like they had that 40-minute game with Burning Core the other day because it was very push pull push pull push pull, where it seemed like, oh yeah, Sengoku has the better composition, the better fighting power. Why is it taking so long? You could almost say the same for this game. RJ should not be in this position this far along in the game had Sengoku actually, just really been able to muscle through and make clear-headed decisions.
Well, but much like the Burning Core game here, Sengoku did win that one, and they can still win this one. They're not out of it
Absolutely.
by any means here. Yes, they've lost the last couple of team fights, but how many times, we've said this of the Oriana, right? You've got to land that shockwave consistently, or else it doesn't quite work out. So if ever it misses, suddenly Vital gets to pop off. And the other thing to note was while we were talking about the strength of, or the questionability of Sengoku's strength here, Jet took the top lane in a turret. There is still the split push threat from Jet, which isn't quite answered by Rascal Jester just yet. Sure, Ino's up in terms of CS right now, in terms of levels, but the gold favors the Silas. And as the game scales on as well, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to see this Aatrox match the answer, and that gives that split push chance still to Sengoku. It's still a way to come back in, bouncing boomerangs, hitting Soul, and Soul already chunked out.
Oof, yeah, chunked out indeed. And they're speeding down the highway as Sengoku going to push up on this mid lane, but they're a little, setting them up for a little bit of a pincer. No way for them to finish off that tower, unfortunately, as Recap going to push this wave up in the top lane. Baron buff expiring here in a few seconds, so back to another state of, all right, it's a bit of a tug of war now. 13 to 12, 2 dragons apiece, only about 2,000 gold separating the two. So now it comes down to the nitty gritty, the smaller decisions for both of these teams to have to make. And right now, I still want to give it to Sengoku, but they are starting to look a little wobbly in the knees as more rounds this fight goes on.
Yeah, and for Sengoku, they're faced with some choices here about how they want to play the rest of this game out. We mentioned that Jet has the ability to split push here. Sengoku want to avoid the straight 5v5 fights. And also, they've got pretty good engage options for the most part. The fights that they've opted into have been exactly that. They've opted into them here. They go charging in. They're the ones kind of pulling the trigger a little bit here. But Sivir ult can be used to disengage as well. Same with the Call of the Forge God. Crescent Guard, great at knocking people back. So we haven't seen Sengoku play the defensive play yet. Whereas for Rascal Jesters, the game has simplified. The early game has been a little bit rough, I think largely because their decision making and macro choices haven't been ideal. But as the game goes on, it just boils down to, okay, which objective is up? We do that. Is the enemy split pushing? If yes, somebody answers that. If no, then just group up and move together. So Rascal Jesters, they're in their element as it stands right now, especially with those last couple of wins. So now full build as well coming into the next fight. I would love to see Rascal Jesters with Baron coming up in a minute and a half, just set up vision, station themselves there and tell Sengoku, come at me, bro. We're stronger. This is our power spike. What you going to do?
Yeah, and looking at the levels, looking at the inventory, this next fight is it should be, the game ender. Like you look at the pockets of I know the strongest person on the map, the first one to hit 18, almost 300 CS, has 3 items and now a stopwatch. So you know that I know wants to make something very impactful happen in this next matchup is he has to hard push down Baron up in a minute, Ocean Drake up in about a minute as well. It's just what next objective are both of these teams gonna fight over because it's so close here. It's looking like a lot of vision setups and a lot of ganks and catch outs. It's woo, NC gets chunked. pops the Shirel. This is yeah. Let's get out of here, gang.
Just one Ultra Shock Laser, and that does a lot here. Now in the side lane, we're harping on Jet split pushing, but you mentioned Ino being very far hit, first to level 18. and almost flame horizoning Paz now. That is an absolute issue. And sure, Jet might be able to match, but Paz is certainly struggling right now. And they obviously want Jet to be with the rest of the team to push off this Baron, which Rascal Jesters might be looking at. Dragon coming up as well in a minute here. So if Rascal Jesters don't pull the trigger onto Baron in the next minute, they can always just fall back to Dragon. And Dragon's a lot easier to take. We're seeing already that, the side of Rascal Jesters, when they're set up, their poke sticks, and it kind of hurts as well. That Ultra Shock laser onto multiple members. It's not just NTS to worry about it, too. Vital will also get chunked by that poke.
Right. And it's the setups are here. It's, it feels like one of them two are gonna have to make a decision, as the TP has been committed from Jet just to get back onto the map more. I know walking up menacingly as he looks. This could be a big flank if this works out. Trying to corral them into this mid lane tower. No, I know he's going to go ahead and recall for himself. And yeah, that tower's going to melt as Vital gets right up close and personal with it. I mean, this is a 4-item Sivir here. So with a Masterwork item, so she does a considerable scary amount of damage. It just feels like we're at a old Western standoff, Both of them have their hands on the pistol ready to rock, and just who's going to shoot first.
A lot of respect from both of these teams. For Sengoku, you could see them rushing because they knew that left bot side, they didn't have vision. There's no vision on this bot side of the map for either of these teams. So they were like, okay, we kind of got to make a move before Ino shows up here. But for Rascal Jesters, they could have just collapsed. And now, like I said, Dragon being taken by Rascal Jesters already down, and Sengoku, they're going for this, but this blitz is really risky. Rascal Jesters have already taken Dragon.
It's very risky. Agent Ino on the case, leading the charges. Baron's below 3,000, 2K.
It's gone.
Okay, Baron is on the way of Sengoku, but the fight is on. RJ want to make something happen. Some cooldowns are burned. The wilderness burn. There's everybody jumping into the mix, but that's a bad way to jump in. Ino's dead. Secret's dead. Oh my God. Vital gets 3. Going for 4. Give the Penta. Give the Penta to him. He deserves it, baby. Captain carrying that fight. Kill for Vital and Sengoku. They forced the issue. They forced the Baron, and they forced themselves to a win. Those death timers are too long. You gotta imagine Sengoku. I don't know how they did it, but baby, they did it again.
It's the Sivir, man. I'm telling you, Sivir is just so busted right now. You saw how quickly she just chewed right through Hachimecha and Ino there, and this time the Shockwave didn't come through. Recap died with Shockwave up, and this is the problem I have with the Orianna pickup, Beautiful. It's a good champion, but you need to land the Shockwave every single time. Whereas Sengoku just need one